your message will change. A lot of time people want a perfect message right away. When you can understand that you are growing and changing as your work is changing, as your expansion is changing, as your consciousness is changing, your message is going to change too. Having a very clear message means a couple of things. It means really knowing who you're talking to. What if you could go talk all day long about something? What would that be? We are going to talk about your messaging. This is more of a business related type of episode. A lot of women have had a lot of business questions for me, so I'm going to pop these in there as you're listening. This might be something for you. It might not. Messaging. What is the message, and how is your message so important or crucial into creating a brand that stands out? I have been able to create a multi seven-figure brand. I am a multimillionaire now from really understanding some of the things I'm going to teach you on this episode and in this podcast. I feel like we are the blueprint of our life and business. I say this over and over again. We are the blueprint for everything. So whatever's going on inside of us is going on outside of us. I feel like my message has really changed over the years, but it's still the same one. Your message will change. A lot of time people want a perfect message right away. When you can understand that you are growing and changing as your work is changing, as your expansion is changing, as your consciousness is changing, your message is going to change too. My message maybe like 5 years ago, or 3 years ago rather, because I've only been in this business industry, doing this business for a while, has changed. And who I spoke to at the time has changed, because where I was at that time has changed. But having a very clear message means a couple of things. It means really knowing who you're talking to. And in an upcoming episode, I'm going to talk about your avatar, really knowing who your client is, really dialing that in is super, super important. But the message for me comes from this. What do you want to share with the world? Like, when you go back to your why, and if someone came to you and said, hey, I want you to put you on stage. They always say, like, what's your elevator pitch, right? But this is different. What if you could go talk all day long about something? What would that be? Because to me, that is the message. Because if you only had a certain amount of time, someone says, hey, I'm going to give you this microphone. I want you to go tell the world what they need to know. And sometimes we overthink it. We're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what this is. What am I going to do? But really, at the end of the day, it's what's in your heart. For me, a lot of my messaging came from my journey, what I went through, what I have created. And there's different parts of my journey that have a different message. But at the end of the day, I'm here to say that, women get to be all the things. She gets to be, powerful. She gets to have emotional mastery. She gets to be a wealthy woman, unapologetically wealthy, and she gets to have it all. Because there was a point in time in my life that I didn't have that, and I was able to create that. So I do believe embodiment of your brand and your message is really important, and I will speak about that in upcoming episodes. But your message is going to be, what is the thing that you want the world to know? If you should die tomorrow, what is the one thing in your legacy that should be left behind? That is, like, if people hear this, they understand this, it's going to change. And a lot of the times, women will come up with very generic things. They'll say, like, well, I want people to live a happier, more fulfilled life. Why do you want that? For me, I want women to be wealthy because I was a single mom and I was starting my life all over again after a divorce, and I didn't know what was going to happen. I had a calling, something coming to me, telling me that I was supposed to do X in the future, but I didn't know what X was, but I knew that it was something big. And I want more women to go follow that passion and dream. I feel like more women are in suffering than unnecessarily in suffering. Why I teach emotional mastery, because they get to be, empowered around their emotions. When you're empowered around your emotions, you can create whatever. So why do you want, with your message, what is that message going to do to change the world? How is it going to impact women? And it's not just like, I want to empower women. Why? Why do you want to? What is it going to do? How is this legacy going to be left behind? So a couple of things you can do is if you don't know exactly. And let me tell you, you could be at 7 figures right now and still be like, I feel like I have a bigger message. Because for me, once I hit my first million, I'm like, there's something bigger coming through. I even feel right now, after I've made millions, I'm like, something bigger is coming through for me. I know I'm the messenger, and my astrologer says that I am. And yes, I know. So I'm accepting that. But you also are a messenger. You're here listening to me, right? So what is it, right? What is this thing that you want to say to the world? And I feel like as you expand and you're going up in higher levels of consciousness, sometimes the message gets more clarity, it gets bigger, it's different, you know? So I would ask your audience or ask your friends or people, what is it I always talk about? What, if I wrote a book tomorrow, if I was going to start a podcast, what would you expect to hear from me? Because I bet the things that you talk about, you don't even realize that are so second nature to you, and it's so easy for you that you don't realize that that's really your message. A lot of the times I'll see women talking about money because they think that's the thing that they're supposed to talk about because that's what everybody wants to talk about, right? But really their message is something so much more deeper, so much more unique, so much more, targeted, for their right clientele, and they're out of alignment when they're trying to talk about something that's really not their genre or their niche to talk about, right? For me, I fell into wealth. I honestly was like, oh, I realized, like, when we did emotional mastery, when I started doing the healing work, the work that I do, all of a sudden I realized, well, as I'm shifting consciousness in the human, I could apply it to money. And it was such unparalleled lines that it was just like, boom, this is happening here. And then boom, it was happening in love. So I found something that were avenues were opening up, and it was like an accident, really. It wasn't like, and I became a wealth expert that way. I'm like, ooh, let's apply this to that. So it wasn't something where I was sitting there going, oh, I'm going to talk about money. Not until I realized that it was working for me, that it could work for others. So really get deep into your authenticity. What is it that you truly want to talk about? And sometimes it might not be the sexiest thing, but let me tell you, it's going to be the thing that people need to hear, and it'll help you stand out. There's such a sea of people talking about the same thing. And what makes what you teach so unique and different? What is it about you that makes this message something that people haven't heard before? Or maybe they haven't heard it your way. Be daring to go out to say the things, because maybe you haven't, evidence from an experience. Like, I don't teach and talk about anything that I haven't seen and experienced in my life over and over again to be a pattern, so I can know there's some consistency behind it, and that, yes, this is something that people need to hear about, right? Like me saying money's masculine. I've never heard anybody talk about that before. That was something that was discovered through my work that I do. And it just started clicking and clicking and clicking and clicking. And then I'm like, oh, this is the message. This is making sense, right? So the more that you're in alignment, the more that you're going to channel, the more that you're going to get these downloads, and it's going to be aligned for you specifically, because you came here to teach something very specific. So your message, start with something. It might not resonate, and you get to alter it. You get to change it. This is where I tell people, don't go doing a lot of branding or do a lot of, investing in websites yet. Just test it out. See if people are resonating. If somebody comes to you and says, oh my goodness, this is exactly what I needed to hear, or I feel like you're talking to me, bingo, right? And we'll talk about that in the Avatar episode. But, I always talk to a version of me that existed before, because I want to help women who were like me. I'm a mentor, not so much a coach. So I'm mentoring women to walk this walk with me and help her along the lines. It's subjective work. It's not, everybody doesn't have the exact same story, right? But at least she can have some resonance in my messaging, because she can see myself in my story, where I've been, where I'm at, and where I'm going. And she's like, okay, I resonate with that. This is a woman that understands me. And so you want your people that you're serving to feel that way about what you're saying. And a lot of the times people have shifted and are in a different level, and they're still saying the same messaging, attracting the wrong people to them. And there's a disconnect. And so, client selection, I'm going to talk about in upcoming episodes, is really important. So your message has to be so specific that you're talking to, the woman or the man or whoever it is that you want to serve, the business that you want to help, or whatever it is. You've got to really have a big understanding. And they say, when you talk to everybody, you talk to nobody. So really get clear on that. Again, in the Avatar episode, I'm going to get more clear on that, so you can really understand. I hope this helped you. Work on your messaging. If you feel like this episode was of help, please leave me a review, and leave me a message. Send me a message. And you can go over to shaminataylor.com, download my wealth meditation. I do have a program called the Quantum CEO. And if you're new to setting up your business, or you want to get to the next level, this program is really going to help you. Or just join the Quantum Woman group on Facebook. And I love that you're listening, and I love that you're here. And thank you so much for your time. I love you. Have an amazing day. Bye for now.